Just a few hours ago, the first signs of Hurricane Francine began to emerge. A violent storm with unpredictable strength was heading toward the offshore waters of Louisiana. The sky gradually turned into a gloomy gray, and the first gusts of wind started blowing, sweeping through coastal communities and taking everything in their path. The terrifying scene unfolded. Trees snapped, and towering ocean waves crashed against the shore. Everything seemed to be sinking into a still, eerie painting just before the storm. People hurriedly closed their homes, rushing to find shelter, hoping to escape the reach of this powerful hurricane. Around 2 p.m., Hurricane Francine officially made landfall, with winds reaching up to 155 kilometers per hour. Towering waves like pillars assaulted the coastal areas, tearing apart homes near the shore and sweeping away everything in sight. Trees were uprooted, windows were torn off by the wind, and the eerie sounds of howling gusts echoed through the air. Streets began to flood, and water rapidly rose, engulfing the once bustling areas. Cries for help and shouts of alarm pierced through the torrential rain, but all were drowned out by the terrifying power of Francine. Unprecedented rainfall, reaching up to 304 millimeters, has begun pouring down across Louisiana. The heavy rain showed no signs of stopping, with each drop pounding relentlessly on everything, turning roads into raging rivers in just a few hours. Water from rivers and lakes rose uncontrollably, overflowing into residential areas, bringing all activity to a halt. Many cars were swept away by the rushing currents, and houses gradually submerged in the vast expanse of water. People fled in panic, seeking higher ground for shelter, but hope was fading fast as the water continued to rise by the minute. In dire circumstances, thousands of people had to abandon their beloved homes. They had no choice but to leave everything behind and quickly evacuate to shelters. The scene was heart-wrenching, with people clutching their children tightly and dragging essential belongings while torrential rain poured down and the wind howled overhead. Evacuation vehicles were stuck on highways, unable to move quickly as the rising floodwaters continued to surge. Many families could only pray, hoping the storm would soon pass so they could return to homes that were still intact. As the situation became increasingly severe, the Louisiana state government ordered the deployment of the National Guard. Rescue helicopters flew overhead, navigating through deeply flooded areas, searching for stranded residents. Soldiers, dressed in life vests, paddled boats through streets that had turned into rivers. They rescued families trapped on rooftops and brought them to safety, despite the fierce winds still lashing at their faces. In the most desperate moments, the rescue teams became the only hope for those left behind. Floodwaters from the Mississippi River began to rise, sweeping everything in their path. Cars, houses, and belongings were washed away, with nothing able to stop the powerful currents. Hundreds of families were trapped in low-lying areas, and in the darkness, they had no way to communicate with the outside world. The water rose to the rooftops, leaving only desperate cries for help. The destruction caused by Hurricane Francine did not stop there. It continued to spread, ravaging everything in its wake. Hospitals and medical centers in the area are facing severe overcrowding. Hundreds of people have been brought in with serious injuries, ranging from broken bones caused by collapsed houses to wounds inflicted by debris and floodwaters. Medical staff have been working through the night, tirelessly treating the victims. However, the number of people needing assistance is overwhelming, and hospitals have run out of medicine and beds. Tension is rising as ambulance sirens echo throughout the area. Rescue teams are facing extremely harsh conditions. Heavy rain, strong winds, and floodwaters sweeping away everything in their path make reaching isolated areas incredibly dangerous. Yet the rescuers refuse to back down, navigating boats through flooded streets despite the risk of capsizing due to large waves. Helicopters fly low, searching for survivors despite the fierce winds battering their frames. In this life-or-death situation, every minute counts, and each moment could be the difference between survival and loss. A horrifying scene unfolds before us as we look at the coastal communities. Houses that had stood strong for many years are now reduced to rubble, submerged underwater. Wooden homes have been completely destroyed by massive waves, leaving only bare foundations amidst the vast sea. Larger buildings fared no better, with collapsed walls and shattered windows, leaving only debris scattered everywhere. What remains are merely the ruins of what was once a bustling city. Francine has not only struck Louisiana, but continues to move further inland. Neighboring states like Mississippi and Alabama are also facing heavy rain and flash floods from the storm. Many rivers in the region have exceeded safe levels, and floodwaters continue to spread, threatening thousands of other residents. State authorities have declared a state of emergency, urging people to evacuate dangerous areas immediately. Images of the destruction caused by Francine are spreading everywhere, warning that this is only the beginning, the devastation. At the shelters, the situation has become chaotic as the number of people arriving continues to grow. These centers are overcrowded, not enough space or food for everyone. Many families are forced to live in cramped, inadequate conditions. Children cry out, and the elderly grow weary from the lack of drinking water and food. Relief workers are doing their best, working at full capacity, but with such a large number of evacuees, they cannot ensure that everyone receives proper care. Amid the destruction and chaos, many touching survival stories have begun to emerge. One family of 5 miraculously survived after being trapped in their home for many hours. They climbed onto the roof to escape the rising floodwaters and waited for rescue teams to arrive. Others found shelter in abandoned houses, sharing the scarce food and water they had left. In these difficult times, the human spirit and kindness helped them get through the most dangerous moments of their lives. Although Hurricane Francine has weakened as it moved further inland, hidden dangers still remain. Floodwaters from rivers and lakes continue to rise, threatening to cause post-storm flooding. The drainage systems are clogged, leaving the risk of flooding still very high. Additionally, diseases such as diarrhea and dengue fever could break out due to contaminated water. The Louisiana state government has issued an emergency notice urging residents to be cautious and stay away from flooded areas until the situation is fully under control. The coming days will be a major challenge for the people of Louisiana as they face the aftermath of the storm. Hundreds of homes need repairs, roads and bridges need to be restored, and most importantly, those who lost their homes need assistance. Local authorities have pledged full support in the rebuilding process. Volunteer groups have already started arriving to help those affected. Although many difficulties still lie ahead, the spirit of solidarity and determination will help them overcome this difficult time. In the end, amid all the chaos and devastation caused by Hurricane Francine, the people of Louisiana remain steadfast. Relief organizations, volunteers, and rescue teams are working together to provide assistance. Community solidarity, kindness, and hope are beacons of light in the darkest days. This is the time for everyone to come together, overcome the hardships, rebuild what has been lost, and hope for a better future. We are never alone when facing the wrath of nature.